Welcome to That's Good Sports. I'm Brandon. What do you get an 80-year-old billionaire for his birthday, Perna? Well, if you're Meek Mill, Jay-Z, and Michael Rubin, you get Patriots team owner Robert Kraft a blue Bentley.
Oh my! We thought we were getting the car that you were looking at.
Oh my God! Look at that.
How the fudge did you get it? Because we couldn't get it.
We have resources for us. Here's your...
Oh, are you kidding? Oh, this was...
I want to get something we knew you wouldn't get yourself.
That's cute, but Robert Kraft's first response was actually deleted. When he saw the car, he said, "I asked for a new quarterback. What is this bullshit?" Oh, Bobby Kraft. I love that he says fudge instead of the F word.
How the fudge did you get it?
Because
we couldn't get
We
it.
have resources.
I like that he's on brand, sleeping in his Patriots t-shirt, but I think this is a pretty silly gift, considering the DMV will take his license away before his next birthday, as no 80-year-old should be allowed to drive anywhere. Also, Robert Kraft does not look 40. I'm 4 years away from turning 40. If I look like that in 4 years, I'll drive that Bentley off a cliff like Thelma and Louise. But I'll do it alone, since I don't have any friends. Today, I want to talk about Aaron Rodgers not showing up for the first mandatory Packers minicamp and why that is actually significant. Ryan Fitzpatrick's first day of school, another spring football league, and the return of a right tackle who's returning from really nothing at all. That's good sports. Please do not subscribe to this YouTube channel. You will regret it and your parents will disown you. Today's episode, though, is sponsored by Manscaped.com/goodsports. But I think Manscaped needs to reclassify itself as an all-natural male enhancement product because with its plethora of tools, nothing is enhancing your groin like Manscaped, especially with the new Lawnmower 4.0. Yeah, the skin-safe technology is more techy and more safey. Honestly, this tool is a work of art, like my body after Manscaped came into my life. It's got a two-tone black finish that you can now charge wirelessly. Manscaped also added a travel lock feature, so you'll never have any weird buzzing coming from your travel bags. Also, the Lawnmower 4.0 comes with 4 trimmer guard options for varying hair length. I go short in the summer and a tight shag in the winter to stay warm. Each time Manscaped upgrades a product, it's to increase functionality and make for a better grooming experience. So make sure you have the right tools for your family jewels by ordering at manscaped.com/goodsports. That link will save you 20% off plus free international shipping. It's a whole new balls game. Now, I always thought that the kids who had perfect attendance records at school were the biggest nerds. And by that logic, Aaron Rodgers is the coolest person alive after saying no thank you to a bunch of money and skipping the first day of Packers mandatory minicamp. Now, this should come as no surprise to anyone who's been following this situation, but it is the first real, tangible indication that Rodgers is willing to play extreme hardball like a young Chris Matthews with the Packers and give up an enormous sum of money to make the point that he's played his last game in Green Bay. Well, unless, of course, his new team has a road game there. And now I would like to rip off David Letterman and list 5 things that are more likely than Aaron Rodgers showing up for day 2 of Packers minicamp. Coming in at 5, Noel and Liam Gallagher reconciling and touring as Oasis one more time. Number 4, Ben Affleck settling down in a stable relationship. Number 3, me paying $50 to watch the next Logan Paul fight. Number 2, hell freezes over. And number 1, I get 8 hours of sleep. If I could get 8 hours of straight sleep, I'd actually be okay if Aaron Rodgers went back to the Packers. Now, there's another angle here, and it's the fact that Green Bay could issue Rodgers an excused absence for the 3-day minicamp, which would wipe away a total of $93,000 in fines, which is less money than it costs to get Robert Kraft a birthday gift. Here's the problem. If you don't fine him for missing minicamp and he still doesn't come back to Green Bay, the Packers are officially the weakest organization in the NFL and probably do not deserve him. Or as the kids say, they's a bitch. My guess is that Aaron Rodgers would respect a show of strength in this situation. The opposite of what I said yesterday. I think they should fine him for all 3 days. Then Rodgers should come back and pay the $93,000 all in pennies as a fuck you to the front office, to which Green Bay should respond by tossing all of those pennies in the fountain at the local mall and wish 93,000 times over that Jordan Love ends up being better than Rodgers ever was. Then they have an ice cream party without him, post it on Twitter, and tag him in it. Only that level of pettiness could win back the pettiest quarterback of all time. I know that sounds crazy, alright, but I actually made 2 great points. 1, the Packers are terrified to put their first round QB on the football field. That's why they need 93,000 wishes that he's good. If they believed in Jordan Love, even a tiny bit, why not trade Rodgers, clear a ton of money off the books in 2022, and get all of the picks you'd ever need to build around Love, starting from a team that's already pretty good? Because Jordan Love is probably Paxton Lynch 2.0. I know last year was weird, but Love couldn't even win the backup job. A first-round quarterback couldn't win the default job. That would be like if I hired a host for this show because I didn't think I was good enough. If the Packers do fine Rodgers, he will have willingly given up $593,000 this offseason. Seems like a lot of money if you do plan on eventually coming back. But then again, if you've made $103 million between 2018 and now, you could wipe your ass with $593,000 and not think twice about it. Point 2, Rodgers is sticking to his guns, meaning everything Adam Schefter tweeted on draft day is still true. This does not mean Rodgers won't play for the Packers this season. Had he shown up though, then yes, my dreams would have been crushed. They would be dead. More dead than the prostitute that I'm sure will be in the back of Kraft's blue Bentley in a week or 2. This no-show makes Rodgers an official holdout. Showing up would have been a huge story because it would have symbolized that Aaron is willing to work things out and come back. Not showing up means anything is still possible, including a trade to any team. Or just this one. If a trade does not happen, then the next key date is when training camp starts in July. At that point, the Packers will have to fine Aaron Rodgers $50,000 a day for missing training camp, and he could be subject to having to pay back millions in bonuses. Until then, don't not believe that a trade is a real possibility. Now, some unfortunate news to get to. Former NFL head coach of the year Jim Fassel passed away of a heart attack at the age of 71. Fassel won that award with the Giants back in 1997 and took that team to the Super Bowl in 2000. Unlike certain news outlets did with Marty Schottenheimer, I'll focus on his accomplishments. He took Kerry fucking Collins to the Super Bowl, won 2 United Football League championships with the Las Vegas Locomotives, and finally, Fassel divorced his wife in 2006 only to reconcile with her and remarry. That's persistence. So rest in peace, Jim Fassel. Now I mentioned Jim Fassel coached in the USFL. Well, we've got another football league coming in the spring of 2022. In addition to the return of the XFL, which is supposed to come back in about a year, we've got the USFL, which was originally a spring football league that was pretty popular back in the mid-'80s, but totally floundered when they went after the NFL directly. It's a really crazy story that involves Jim Kelly, Steve Young, Doug Flutie, and Donald Trump, only to see a promising league fold yet. Or the first one to fold. My favorite thing, though, about the USFL is that Steve Young chose to play in the USFL instead of being drafted first overall in 1984 by the Bengals. It just shows you how long that the Bengals have been a terrible, terrible organization. Instead, no quarterbacks were taken in the first round, and the Bengals traded back and then selected Boomer Esiason in the second, who was actually the first quarterback taken in 1984. Now, the USFL originally featured 18 teams, but this time they're coming back with a minimum of 8 teams, and they've held on to the rights and brands of the original 18. So that means you could potentially see the return of the Denver Gold, the Houston Gamblers, the New Jersey Generals, or my favorite, the Memphis Showboats. Showboats is just an amazing team name, and I would buy that t-shirt. Now, Doug Flutie weighed in, saying the USFL was the highest level of football. It's just played in the spring. And in a way, he was right. The USFL really took on the NFL back in the 80s and took a bunch of really good players. They got 2 of the best quarterbacks of the 90s in Steve Young and Jim Kelly before the league folded. That's like if the USFL somehow manages to get Arch Manning in a couple years. But if that happens, there would be hell to pay for the USFL by me if they disrupt the Aaron Rodgers to Arch Manning peaceful transition for the Broncos. Finally, former Dolphins and Broncos tackle Ja'Wuan James signed a 2-year, $9 million deal with the Ravens. Last month, James tore his Achilles while working out away from the Broncos team facility, as ill-advised by the NFLPA, allowing Denver to void the last year of his contract and avoid paying him $15 million. Despite only playing 63 snaps for the Broncos in 2 years, he's insistent on getting that $15 million back, going as far as hiring attorney Mark Geragos to represent him. Geragos also represented Colin Kaepernick in his battle against the NFL, but his greatest achievement may have been getting a court to dismiss 95 of Chris Brown's parking tickets. Oh, that's literally listed on his website. I don't know, if I'm Ja'Wuan James, I'm calling Frank D'Azar the strong arm. If you're in Denver, you know who the fuck I'm talking about. At this point, the only thing James can do to earn my respect is to never play a snap for the Ravens and collect even more free money. He may not have earned any of his last 2 contracts for his work on the field, but he's up there with Logan Paul when it comes to grifting. And unlike the Lakers-Suns series, I'll take James over Paul. Finally, this is how Ryan Fitzpatrick showed up to his first day of minicamp for the Washington football team. Oh man, just stare at this. Stare at this photo and respect this fucking man. Perfection. Thanks for watching That's Good Sports. Please subscribe here on YouTube. I did the Julio Jones trade video yesterday. You can click and watch that here. And don't forget my coffee company, BenchwarmerBrew.com. I make really good coffee, so buy it. Buy it. Buy it.